It's 2015, a year after its E3 announcement that showcased a game that was too perfect.
Good job, guys.
Not a single team kill, no spawn peaks, and no bugs.
You kill him with a stim pistol!
And the comms sounded like this.
Go on, move up. All right. Go, 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 hallway.
But when we played, it sounded something like... Ubisoft did not have a hit in their hands. Not yet. Siege started out with only 20 operators, 10 attackers, 10 defenders. No fancy goggles that could track footsteps, blinding pokeballs, or a variety pack of traps. Just anchors and roamers, hard breachers and fraggers. But what they did have is a small but extremely loyal player base that had been itching for a tactical, gritty, grounded FPS game that had all the right traits. You needed to collaborate effectively, utilize resources efficiently, and your information strategically. You decided you didn't like a wall? That wall is no more. You only had one life, so you had to be careful. You couldn't rely on Little Richard to win the round once all 4 teammates die.
There's someone on your right. There's someone on your right. You suck, Richard.
But there was one problem. The game also kinda sucked.
Wait, Bagger, stand still.
What? A lot of people make the mistake of glamorizing early Siege as if it was peak Siege. It was not. It was a broken mess.
What? He has like 30 health, dude!
Also, the game needed content. On February 2nd, 2016, Ubi released the first season, Operation Black Ice. It came with 2 new operators, each with new weapons, and Siege's first DLC map. It was a success, with the new operators both adding unique gameplay changes and making players excited for the start of support for the game. It also became a good way for Ubisoft to make stable revenue, selling a yearly pass with a 7-day early access to the operators for each DLC that came out that year for $29.99. Every few months, 2 more operators with 2 new gadgets, a new map, new guns, over and over again. Their ambition added a ton of content to the game in a very short amount of time, but there was a problem. Each new operator had to add enough and be different enough to be interesting and fun to play, while at the same time balancing the game. It didn't take very long at all for that challenge to become apparent. On the literal 2nd season, they would release the most broken operator known to man, Blackbeard. He was absolutely insane. They thought it would be smart to release a guy with a literal face shield on his gun that could take 800 HP. Come on, man. So yeah, they patched that right away. No, they didn't. 4 months. It took them 4 months to patch him. And even then, his patch was giving him 2 shields with 150 HP each because, 160 would have just been overkill. He would then receive a ton of nerfs throughout the years, with him eventually landing on an operator that could barely move while ADS, with only 20 HP on each shield, until they eventually, 8 years too late, admitted defeat and completely changed him into something much, much better. They turned him into a shield operator.
When I enlisted, I was told what was expected of me.
Ow! You are being...
You know what? I could talk about shields all day, but you didn't come here for that, did you? My point is, it was very easy for Ubi to mess this up. There was no way to know how an operator that may have looked good on paper actually played. But they would persevere through the first year, making actual fun content. Sure, at first Capital's firebolts might have glitched through walls, melting anyone in its vicinity. And sure, Echo was insanely overpowered. And sure, the maps after Border were, well, not the best. Hitreg was still non-existent, and cheating was now becoming more of a problem. But it was pretty good. They managed to toe the line of brokenness, because even with its problems, there was, and is, still no game like Siege. But Ubisoft knew that by year 2, they had to fix the game if they wanted it to last. On the 2nd season of Year 2, Ubisoft made a tough decision. They had to tell players that for this season, instead of a new map or any new content, they'd get nothing.
Operation Health is basically a 3-month period of time that we're going to be taking in order to fixing and repairing the game.
It focused on 3 main changes. First, they introduced one-step matchmaking to cut down queue times and make servers more stable. Second, they moved core systems like custom games and voice chat fully onto dedicated servers. And third, they created a new 3-step update process where changes would go from the test server to PC and then to console to improve quality control. They also finally got around to redesigning operator hitboxes, so only the actual human body counted for damage, giving us a little bit of our sanity back. And while health was not fun, everyone agreed it was crucial for the game if it wanted to become what we know it as today. But Sledge also had a serious problem. He just couldn't stop smashing that subscribe button. And honestly, if you're enjoying this, you probably should too. After this, Ubi kept the pace, constantly dropping content. But it wasn't just the updates that made Siege great. It had one of the best communities in gaming. With so many creators to watch, Siege never really felt stale. Players weren't just logging in to play Siege anymore, they were logging in because the content around the game made them want to stay.
Really? Really, chat? Oh no. Oh no. Alright. I hate you, chat.
There was always new clips to see, a strat you had to learn, or news you had to hear about. For the next couple of years, Siege would see a massive influx of players. It was also during this time Pro League started to take off. With Siege's complexity and its amazing casters, led by KiXSTAr and Intero, no other esport could match its intensity. But as the game grew deeper, it not only got a lot better, it got a lot more complicated. It was starting to become difficult for new players to pick up, and for every good operator, there was a broken one. Ubi kept the updates coming, with new operators, gadgets, and mechanics, and on paper, Siege was getting deeper than ever. But somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling fun. Getting scanned by line and being forced to freeze in place for 5 seconds was annoying. Having to deal with an endless pile of traps was annoying. Watching rounds slow to a crawl because no one could safely move anymore was annoying. Sure, the game was more complex, it made players think, and it added layers, but complexity just for the sake of complexity doesn't feel like strategy. It just feels exhausting. With all of these trap operators, over time it just became too much. They stopped feeling like clever defenses and started feeling like you weren't being outsmarted, you were being punished for just moving. It felt awkward, like if you hadn't checked the ground in 5 steps, you were about to step on another trap. And instead of gunfights deciding rounds, it often felt like utility did. And while there were problems with the gameplay, other problems with the game were much worse. Cheating became impossible to ignore. Wall hacks, aimbots, DDoSing, speed hacks were all rampant. Not only that, smurfing was at an all-time high. New players getting destroyed in an already hard-to-learn game by experienced players on fresh accounts. This combined with the toxicity, the griefing, and team killing was really starting to outshine the good parts of the game. Fun matches and team coordination were replaced by stressful ones with insults. Something had to change, but that's the problem. It didn't, at least not fast enough. Ubisoft wasn't silent, but it felt slow. Anti-cheat updates came, but never fast enough to match the scale of the problem. Punishments didn't feel visible, and their communication with the player base was unclear.
I have been banned by Battle Eye.
Players reporting problems for months, sometimes years, never seeing meaningful change. Alas, the saying, Siege is dying, started to spread. Not because player count fell drastically, but because it felt like the game was never going to get fixed. It didn't happen fast, it slowly built on misstep after misstep. The game needed something, someone, to save it.
Hope you guys achieve all your goals. Hope everybody stays healthy and happy. And remember, one love.
Enter Jynxzi. He didn't single-handedly save Siege, but he was by far its biggest face during its resurgence. People didn't just watch for the high-level play anymore, they watched for him. You didn't need to understand Siege to understand this. He pulled in an entirely new audience. A lot of casual players that weren't into competitive games, who would have never gave the game a shot. And the console players finally had another big console YouTuber to look up to, other than just Priest and Garfield. Ubisoft noticed. They started doing a lot more for creators, promoting them with more events and cosmetics. Plus, they finally started making their game easier for new players. Each operator now had a little tutorial with a suggested skill rating the players should be before picking them. Of course, that didn't solve the massive learning curve new players face, but it helped. Rainbow Six Siege has been broken, rebuilt, declared dead more times than most games ever lived long enough to hear. It rose because it was different. It fell because it tried to be too much. And it rose again because the people who loved it never actually left. Today, Siege isn't perfect. It never was. But it's one of the only shooters where every second matters, every sound matters, and every decision matters. And somehow, after everything, it's still here. This video is dedicated to Michael KiXSTAr Stockley, the greatest esports caster to ever exist. You are missed.